Now I'll be talking about the neuro-linguistic programming, which claims that by changing the language or by certain patterns of language, you can change the neural patterns. This map is very appealing to me. This is the reality. They said a territory. This is the actual reality which is there in the world, which we see. Any of us will see. Acha, one thing I want to mention is there a particular object. No two of us will see same. Even a bottle of water. No two of us will see the same. We can see if the bottle is blue, we can see it is blue. But the blueness of that blue bottle will be different for all of us. For all of us. I mean it, for all of us. So suppose this is the territory, this is the blue bottle. And what each of us will see is not that blue bottle, something other based on maps, our beliefs, and certain neural connections inside our brain. Each reality will have a different effect on us, all of us individually. The structure of experience is as follows. External world, territory, through our senses it comes to us. External stimuli comes to us, to our brain, through the 5 senses. Some filtering is done beforehand. Before our brain processes it, some filtering is done beforehand because our brain has a limited processing capacity. This is our innate design. This is how we are designed. This is how our brain is designed. This filtering consists of 3 major aspects. One is generalization. We generalize the thing. Suppose I am a senior professor at IRITM Lucknow and I give good lectures on rail vehicle dynamics. Some of you will generalize that sir will also be giving a good presentation on happiness and stress management. This is generalization. Other is distortion. I suppose someone is unhappy with my earlier lecture, he will be preoccupied in his mind that this lecture will also be not good. So he will be deleting certain of the realities. And third one is distortion. So again, we distort the reality on the basis of the maps inside the beliefs inside our brain or mind. So after this 3 filtering, the information reaches the processor of our brain. Then it is converted into thoughts. Then we immediately assign meaning to that thought. And that meaning gives emotions or feelings to that thought. And then we act. So now through that external world stimuli, all this process and we act. Now how we act makes the next mind map for future. This mind map is modified for my future action. So what we realize, what you realize, what each of us, every of us realize is the external stimuli. Kya dikha, what we have seen, and what emotions came, and how we act. These 3 things we realize actually: external stimuli, emotions, and action. The most important is how and what meaning we have given to it. And this filtering and maps and thoughts, these all we delete in our processing. And this meaning assignment is very important. And this whole process take a fraction of a second. And we do it, and we do it 1,000,000 of times in a day. This complete process, we do it 1,000,000 of times in a day. And NLP practitioners say that by certain practices, I will not explain them, certain practices, visual switch, auditory switch, kinesthetic switch. One example I will give, suppose one image, you think of something and it provides you stress, it gives you stress. So visual switch is that you imagine that photo inside your brain and you start dimming its brightness. You start reducing the size of that photo and again input it to your mind. It will change your internal reality, your thoughts, your meanings, your emotions, and your action. Same stimuli, but different techniques so that your internal mind maps are changed and your response is also changed for the same external stimuli. And this thing not actually related to this stress or happiness, But long-term management of happiness, these three NLP perceptual positions are very important when we all are dealing with conflict management in our personal lives as well as professional lives. So this is the first position, self. This is the position when we are in our own body. Second position, other. When we are in the body of the other person, we are seeing the world, the situation, the experience through their eyes and hearing through their ears. This is the position of empathy, solicitation, and understanding of others. But they don't prescribe, it is not required to be there for a long. You go there for a second position, 4 seconds, understand his condition and position, what he is feeling, and then come back. Come back to the third observer position. You see yourself, your position, and the second position also, the second person's position also, and then decide as an uninvolved third party or objective reporter. Suppose you are angry with you call your subordinate and you ask for some work and he replies you, and you suddenly become angry. What I want to say is, what NLP practitioners want to say is that take some time, go into his position and try to understand why is he acting like that, and then don't remain there for long. Come to a third position as an observer. You are as a boss, you are trying to get some work done for the benefit of railways or your organization, and he is refusing. So if it is possible to help him out, you help him out. Otherwise, you decide whatever you have to do for the benefit of your organization. So mind it again, there are three perceptual positions. Most of our conflicts in our personal lives and professional lives will be sorted out if you understand these three positions. For 4 seconds, for only 5 to 10 seconds, you want to get angry on someone, just try to understand his or her position. And then third position, what you are doing, what he or she is doing, then what an observer will say. Then decide accordingly. Our mind, our brain is having many cognitive biases, a number of cognitive biases and predictable cognitive biases. I have gone to these 3 books, The Thinking Fast is Slow, written by the Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman, then Predictably Irrational, and Blink. They have listed so many cognitive biases over what we think. We are very rational, we are not rational. And that too, we are predictably irrational. Anybody can tell what we will decide, not rationally and irrationally. So our brains are evolutionarily conditioned to prioritize negativity for survival. You see it. Bad is more stronger to us than good, because we have been wired for that only. Suppose I am a hunter and there is a prey for the suppose a deer is going and I am not able to kill that deer, so that it will not affect me much. But suppose if a lion is near me and if I miss the lion will kill me. So that I have to be more attentive towards the bad things. So we have been wired strongly for bad things. Our cerebellum or our amygdala is wired for bad things. We must have understood it in our daily lives. If somebody does a negative thing to us, he has to do a lot to mitigate that negative thing. The author says that they have to do 5 positive acts to counterbalance 1 negative act. And the last thing, why bad is stronger than good? The amygdala, which is the emotional center of our brain, it takes fraction of seconds to get activated. 1/30th seconds or 1/20th second, exact figure they all claim differently in the different sources, but fraction of seconds take to get activated. So the danger center, the emotional center, is activated all of a sudden. And your conscious mind, your logical mind, it takes 3 to 4 seconds to get activated. So it takes time for your conscious mind to get activated and to get charged. Till then, amygdala is in charge. So if you can delay the response as being suggested by your amygdala for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, or 10 seconds, your conscious mind will take over. Your conscious brain will take over the amygdala. On the contrary, while the bad is stronger than good, good doesn't last. Whenever we think of a goal, whenever we achieve some certain physical things, we are basically running on the hedonic treadmill. We quickly adapt to the good fortune and return to our baseline happiness level. As soon as we reach our target, we return to our baseline happiness level. And the second thing is that two of the authors have compared a lottery winner, one lottery winner who has won 2 crore rupees, say 2 crore rupees, a lottery, and one person who was paralyzed below his neck. And assume the level of happiness after 1 year for both of them. The research says the both of them will be equally happy. The one who has the person who has won the lottery ticket, all of a sudden his expenditure will rise, his enemies will increase, his relatives will go distance because he will feel that he is very rich. People will start suing him to get his money. So after 1 year, his money will be dwindled. So his happiness level will be coming to the base level again. On the other hand, the paraplegic who was paralyzed below his neck level. So initially he will feel that he is doomed, but he will do certain things. He will do certain exercises. After certain days, his one finger will start moving. He will feel happy. After a few more days, his whole hand will start moving. He'll feel more happy. And even after some more days, some other part of the body will start moving. So from the downward, from the very down happiness level, he will again reach his baseline happiness level after 1 year. So whether you win a lottery or you face some very gross calamity, rest assured that your happiness level will return to the baseline level after a certain time. And one more important thing, the journey is more rewarding than the destination. You enjoy more pleasure while moving towards a journey. And when you reach the goal, it is not that much, but it is only a small bit of relief that you get when you reach the top. When you acquire your goal, it is only a sort of sigh of relief. I will be showing it after some of the slides. Then the other important bias is misinformation bias. So our memory and perception of an event are altered, and this is we are consciously aware that it may be wrong, but we follow the suit itself. And this is not our fault. This is how our brain neural networks are designed to use association and pattern finding to organize information. For giving an example of misinformation effect, imagine you witness a minor car accident where two vehicles have just bumped into each other. But a policeman comes and he asks, how fast were the cars going on when they smashed into each other? He uses the word smashed. As soon as he uses the word smash, it started recurring in your mind, and using misinformation effect, your brain will override or may override the original memory of the minor bump. After certain days or a week later, you pass through that site and you see certain glass pieces there, and you will correlate that these pieces of glass must have been occurred due to that when the two cars and the two vehicles smashed into each other. Now there was no neurobiology and there were no glass because this this is the effect of your misinformation effect. So why I have chosen these two effects? Because this is the major effects which are responsible for our long-term chronic stress doesn't actually look like level of our happiness. But this is a schematic. The negativity bias. Our mind, this body, naturally, the middle part is known as inclined towards negativity, surrounded by myelin sheaths, and this is dendritic structures which are connected. And the other is misinformation effect. Many of our problems, many of our perception of others are due to this misinformation. 85 billion neurons in our brain. We think that and this is how one neuron is connected to the other neuron. Our brain has made 2 + 2 equals to 7. One neuron in our brain is connected to 1,000 other neurons. 1,000 other neurons. Now we'll move towards the excerpts from this and the information passage books. Is first electrical. It presents an interdisciplinary biological framework for understanding human behavior. Then between the neurons, it is passed through a chemical signal where neurotransmitters are exhibited. From one neuron are received by the second neuron or other. Explain the behavior in a certain neurons are situation of a human being. So complex is the a cross-biological framework using neurobiology, endocrinology, genetics, and culture. Then I will be discussing neuroplasticity. And so there was a view less that once the brain is formed, autonomous decision makers, we cannot grow our brains, or we cannot grow our we are very rational and autonomous. We are not our learning capability, our decision making. So there are three ways by some implicit and subterranean. We can say that our brain rewires itself. No matter what our age is, the factors, the neurobiological factors, the endocrinological factors, the genetic experiences, and the cultural factors and actions. They are not the deterministic factors. They only provide the propensity connection potentials when you learn about the actual behavior, what the connection or what happens between your brain cells, how you behave in a particular circumstances, that will also depend on the context dependency. The second way, myelinations. A behavior examines the behavior across vast time scales, from the transfer of messages to neurons for what all the neurons is millennia before. So you can increase your learning capability by increasing the myelination also. A person, and the third one is neurogenesis. A person is holding new brain cells. A pistol in his hand. Possible to create new and his brain cells standing in a dark room at any age. All of a sudden, he sees a big, you can grow your hippocampus at any age. And so your memory building capability can be built instantly at any age. Pull the trigger and take a shot. There is or he will wait nervous system. Or what he will do, which resides between the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system throughout our body. On all those factors which were discussed in the schematic slide. For the autonomic nervous system, he will pull the trigger. Both systems will depend on which neurotransmitter is active in his brain. They are related to our survival mechanism. So when we see what are our SNS, which is environmental stimulus system, if he suppose he is standing in a room which is very badly smelling, our heart, so chances are there that he will pull the trigger. And if he is standing in a room where good fragrance is there, the chances that he will not pull the trigger. All energy, this was seconds to minutes before, concentrated towards what happens brain and 2 days before, which so that they are able to think fast and run fast. If testosterone is flowing through the brain and body, he will feel whenever he more aggressive and he will pull fight or flight response. If is activated on its own, flowing is running. On the other hand, his body he will be feeling more compassionate and will wait for some time. He will not pull the trigger. This is the rest and digest system. When we are in the relaxed position and then again condition weeks to our eye constrict, heart slows down, lungs experience during his life, and all our whether he is having traumatic of energy is diverted to our stomach, having good experience stimulates how his upbringing has been will depend what action he will take. So when we are in this childhood perplexity, then his mother pathways are activated. Him or the neural pathways, the neurons. The neuron has adrenaline, they are for her. Or his, and when the PNS system, the his or her PSR system is activated, he or she has got good friends, it will behave in a different way. Pathways are activated. If mother has neurons associated with him or her, he will respond in a different way. Then the problem is that he is having in animals, then he will respond in a different way. SNS is activated by immediate threats or physical needs. To millions of years, either the animal is hungry or he sees something bigger than itself, which is dangerous to him. Sisters were growing rice, response will be activated. So we will be having, and it will collect working on genes in our brain, in our body. The danger is averted because rice cultivating humans involves group working as well as some primates. So we will be having more compassion. And the chances that the SNS is also activated through thoughts. And suppose we will be involved in, there is no requirement for any physical threat. It is individualistic. We can activate. So there are chances more that we will pull in activating the systems pass on to our body. And that is the problem with us, with the humans. Right? Suppose our ancestors were pastoral dwellers. So honor killings was there. So I will be aggressive. And chances that if I am there, I will pull the trigger. The author gives this example. So he gives three objects in the figure: a monkey, a bear, and a banana. And he says group 2 of them. So the people, most of the people who live in American side, who used to cultivate wheat, individualistic culture, they will group monkey and bear in a group because they both are animals. They both are animals, right? And if we ask this question, similar question to a human being, to a man who is living in East Asian country, where rice is grown, where the collective culture was there in our ancestors, then he will group the monkey and the banana in one group, because the monkey eats the banana. So here is the difference in our behavior depending upon what our ancestors were doing millennia of years back. And this is the most important neurotransmitter, dopamine, for our happiness level and our stress level. So it derives the affective state of arousal and pursuit, and by design to our ancestors, whenever there were nearby rewards, so it was released and it drive us, our ancestors, to hunt for food. And it is a central neurotransmitter to reward, pleasure, anticipation, and motivation. And whenever we do a thing which gives us pleasure, they are sent as the reinforcement signals to strengthen or weakness synapses in the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia is a part in our limbic brain which is responsible for our habit formation. So if you do good things, then good habits are formed inside the basal ganglia through the fluctuations of dopamine levels. And if you do bad things, the same thing happens, and the addiction will be formed inside our basal ganglia. This is the dopaminergic system, how it works. The author, that is Sapolsky, gave an example of a monkey. A cue is given, window, the curtains are drawn out, the light comes, monkey gets a signal, and he pushes a lever. He pushes or pull down a lever, and as soon as he pulls down the lever, he gets some certain reward, juice or anything. So if we see the trend of dopamine release in his brain, it will like this. On x-axis, it is the time, and on y-axis is the dopamine level, and this line, this green line, is the base dopamine level. So this is your base happiness level, the dopamine base level. Now this monkey comes into, this is the base level of you or the monkey who is in the experiment. Now on the x-axis there is a cue or signal, the coming in of light, and then action, his pulling or pushing of trigger or lever, and that reward, he receiving of the juice by the monkey. So can you imagine during which portion the dopamine will rise to maximum? I will tell you. It will remain at the base level before the cue. As you open the window, it rises a lot. Then between the action and reward, it again stabilizes. And when reward, actually it is actual reward, it is only a small spike, only a relief. So maximum amount of dopamine is secreted when between the cue and the action. What I want to say is that maximum amount of dopamine is released in anticipation. In anticipation, not when you actually attain the reward. And now we change the scenario a bit. Now author included certain uncertainty in the picture. Light comes, he presses the lever, 50% of the time he gets a reward, the juice, and 50% he doesn't receive the juice. Now what you will say that about the dopamine level, increase in dopamine level? Will it reduce or increase? 50% of the time he gets the reward, and 50% of the time he doesn't get the reward. I will show you. This is the base level before the cue, and after that, similar amount of dopamine increase. The surprise is here. Between the action and reward, the dopamine spike is more. Between the action and reward. Then it follows the same pattern. So if there is certain uncertainty in your reward, your overall dopamine system, the overall dopamine release is more. But this is true only for 50%. If we reduce it further, like 25% you get the juice, it reduces. So this dopaminergic system, there are basically 4 pathways inside your brain for these dopaminergic systems. I will be discussing here 2 because 2 are example for us: the mesolimbic and the mesocortical. Mesolimbic means going through limbic brain, amygdala, and mesocortical means going to the cortical, prefrontal cortex, our logical brain. So this is the schematic. The pathway shown in this maroon or magenta color is the pathway of dopamine systems in the mesolimbic pathway. VTA is the place where the dopamine is made. Tegmentum. It is known as tegmentum. VTA is tegmentum, where the dopamine is made. And NAC is the place, accumbens, it is called accumbens, where this is secreted finally. Dopamine is produced in VTA and is secreted in NACA, the graph I have shown there in this graph. So the dopamine release system follows the same pattern if this mesolimbic pathway of dopamine system is activated. If you want to activate this longer pathway where the dopamine is released in your cortex, this blue one, mesocortical pathway. Achha, one more thing. There is a temporal discounting also for immediate gratification. That why we all are fallen prey towards immediate gratification. Suppose you decided that you will not eat beyond these calories because you have to get slimmer, right? But all of a sudden, jalebis come in front of you, and you take that. You forget your long-term goal, and you fall prey to the temporal discounting. So this system has an inbuilt system for temporal discounting. Temporal discounting means, suppose a goal is there to occur after X time. The dopamine release is X. Now, if you delay that goal from X to 2X, the dopamine is reduced not to X by 2, X by 4. The more distant you place your goal, less is the dopamine release if you only rely on the mesocortical pathway. That's why we fall prey to immediate gratification. This mesolimbic pathway is activated, and we give this temporal discounting. We are not able to imagine our far future, and so that's why we fall prey to the immediate gratification. If you want to follow this one, altogether more amount of dopamine. If you take the complete picture, in the complete picture, you will be having more dopamine release. But yes, between Q and signal, you will be having a lesser amount of dopamine release. So this happens when you set a long-term goal for yourself. When you set a long-term goal for yourself and keep progressing towards that a little bit every day, then the overall amount of dopamine release is more. But for that, you have to activate this mesocortical pathway. There are two parts of our cortical brain, the prefrontal cortex. Two main parts responsible for habits, for behavior. So one is ventromedial prefrontal cortex. It is the emotional brain. See, our prefrontal cortex, which I told you is our executive brain, is also having certain parts which are related to emotions. So ventromedial PFC looks after emotions, connected to amygdala, and it controls the pathway of immediate gratification. And the dorsolateral PFC, when this activates the mesocortical pathway, and it is responsible for our goal-oriented behavior or delayed gratification behavior. So for some people, by birth, the dorsolateral PFC is strong, is bigger, so that their goal-oriented behavior is better. For some persons, by birth, the ventromedial PFC is bigger and more active, so that their tendency is more towards the immediate gratification. But again, nothing to worry. I have told throughout my presentation, I will be telling throughout my presentation, it all depends upon the environmental context. We can change all these things through our life at any stage of life by changing our thoughts, by changing our actions, by changing our behavior, by changing our experiences. We can change all these. This dopamine system is bidirectional and with habituation. Bidirectional means that reimagine that juice photo. If suppose by after pushing the lever, he gets two glass of juices, not one. So the burst of dopamine will be doubled, right? So if he gets 2 glasses of juices, the amount of dopamine release will be doubled, and this is bidirectional also. If we reduce the amount of juice from 1 glass to half a glass, the amount of dopamine will be released will be halved. And again, this habituation clause is also there. If you keep on doing that, you give him a light, and the monkey presses a lever or button, and he gets a juice. After some time, for the same reward, the amount of dopamine will be reduced. So what I want to say, what author want to say, the same activity which is giving you more pleasure today will not be giving the same amount of pleasure tomorrow, or after 3 days, or after 7 days. So it is relative, not the absolute size of the surprise that matters over a 10-fold range of reward. Suppose if my salary is 1 lakh rupees, and if it is increased from 1 lakh to 1,20,000, I will not feel that happy if my original salary was 10,000 and it increased to 20,000 from 10,000. The absolute amount is bigger in the first case, but the relative amount is bigger in the second case. I will feeling more happy in the second case. And about this habituation, it is not our fault. It is not our flaw. It is how we are designed. It is how our brain is designed. Because the same dopamine generic system, or the dopamine system, has to work when we are looking for external reward, when we are looking for studies, when we are looking for our meetings, when we have food, like when we when we give hug to our children. In all the situations, the same dopamine system is activated. So it continues to keep itself habituating. It is by design. It's not our fault. We are not at fault for this, that the same amount of event is not giving happiness after certain days, the same event. It is not our fault. It is how we are designed. And the other neurotransmitter, serotonin, is basically when we actually receive a what secreted, triggering a state of low arousal and satiation. In humans and other mammals, low levels of serotonin are associated with elevated aggression. The people who are associated with depression, normally the psychiatrists give them amount of serotonin to intake. And it enhances dopamine's effects on goal-directed behavior. So it's a combination of serotonin and dopamine for goal-directed behavior. Moving towards hormones, I have told you oxytocin and vasopressin, they facilitate mother-infant bond formation and monogamous pair bonding. They decrease anxiety and stress, enhance trust and social affiliation, and make people more cooperative and generous. So basically, when you are committed to others, when you are in strong relationships with others, maybe your colleagues, maybe your boss, maybe your family members, oxytocin and vasopressin are released more, and you are more happy in the long term. You are more happy in the long term. You have decreased anxiety and stress in the long term. So if you ask me, I would prefer oxytocin to dopamine. If I am getting dopamine in addition to oxytocin, it is good for me. If I have one choice, I would prefer oxytocin. So whether he will pull the trigger or not, it will depend upon so many factors. I will not go into details about so many factors.